All right, friends, you've made it so far. You're 2 videos in. You guys doing all right? I hope so. Let's pick up where we left off. We were adding images, and I gave you a challenge to see if you could figure out how to grab an image from Google Images and put that on your site. So let's take a quick look at how to do that. All right, so here I am at Glitch, and let's go ahead and just do a quick Google image search. Image search. I can't say it. It's been a long day. So let's take a look for, I don't know. How about NES? I was wearing my Nintendo shirt yesterday, so it's making me think about it. So here's the NES that I grew up with. I am very old, but it's awesome. All right, so I have this picture here. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I wanna use that. Now we talked about copyright stuff, so we're forgetting that for just a moment as we look into just kind of technically how to do it, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on the image, and this is really simple. I'm gonna say copy image address. I'm gonna say no, I don't want to work right now. Copy image address. Okay, we'll go back over to our code, and then right below this image that I put in, I updated it so you didn't have to look at my old ugly face, which is some video game controllers here. So we'll put in our image tag. We'll make sure we get that source attribute in there. All right. And then we'll paste that address that they gave us. Now let's see if that worked. And it did indeed. There's our Nintendo. So if you figured that out, good for you. Awesome. So hey, we're gonna keep moving along. So this video, let's switch back over to our slides, is we're gonna cover lists, and so we're gonna go through this relatively quickly. It's an important thing to know. We use them a lot, but it's a lot the same structure as what we've been doing on other things here. So essentially we have 2 types of lists that we can write in HTML, okay? We've got unordered lists, bullets, and we have ordered lists, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, that sort of thing. Pretty straightforward, right? They all use list items, so that's this LI tag here, so that stands for list item. So whether I have bullets or I have numbers, I have something ordered, sequenced, I'm using LIs on both of them. So the individual items stay the same no matter what type of list you have. But we're going to put that inside of a container or a container element, like we talked about kind of video 1, of a tag that matches what we want, right? So I have UL unordered list and OL ordered lists, right? Pretty straightforward. You're going to see these kind of literally all over the place, right? Anywhere you have a list, obviously, a list of links, a list of options, things that might not be quite as obvious that you'll see them in. If you're looking at, say, like a shopping site and you see rows and rows and rows of products that I'm scrolling through, right? That's probably an unordered list. It makes sense in the code to say, hey, this is a list of things, right? It doesn't have to have bullets on it or numbers or anything like that. We can get rid of all of that with CSS. We can make it look however we want. But the structure is there to say, hey, this is a list of things. So we use them all the time. The number one thing that I would say that we use them for is things like menus. So anytime, if we go over here, let's go over here to our menu. This would be a list. In fact, I don't know if it is on our site for sure, but that would be the right thing for a list. These are lists, that sort of thing. So if you inspect it, check us out. If it's wrong, let me know and I'll fix it. But we're moving on. So we're already to enough talk. Let's code. All right. So I'll go through one example with you real quick, and then I want you to create your own. We'll go ahead and have you pause the video here in a sec. But let's flip over and let's try one out. All right, so I'm going to put it down here below our images, right here. So let's say I want to use an unordered list. That's the most common one. Not too often do I have to write 1, 2, 3 or ABC or Roman numerals or anything like that. So we write our UL tag, right? And Glitch is helping us out. It's creating that. So I'm going to make an LI. And then inside that LI, that's my list item. I can put whatever content I want. This can be simple as just text. Hi, I'm a list item. Or we can put more HTML inside of that. So I could even take this this Nintendo image, and I'm going to take it away from there, and I'm going to move it inside the list item there. Let's see what happens. All right, so let's go over here to our site, and let's wait for it to load up. Yeah, there we go. So you can see I've got my bullet, and it says, hi, I'm a list item. But if I go down here, you can see I've got a little bullet right with the image in it. So that image is inside that list item now, which opens up a lot of possibilities. And that's where, when I see, like we said maybe before, that list of products and that sort of thing, I can put a whole bunch of HTML in that list item that says, you know, here's a picture of the item, here's the title, the description, the price, you know, all that stuff. So I can put whatever I want in here, and then I can style it to make it look however I want. So we're going to flip back over here. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to add one each of an ordered list and an unordered list to our page. Just like it says, we can make lists of links or images or anything we want. So go ahead. I'm going to get rid of me, and I'll go ahead and pause the video. Try that out. All right. All right, hopefully that went pretty well for you. Let's keep rolling on this. We've only got a couple more slides actually in this segment here, so we'll keep going. This is an element that we've seen several times already. It's the div. It's used a lot in coding. In fact, it's used so much, it's become kind of a meme in the developer community. When somebody doesn't kind of really know how to write HTML very well, we often say their code looks like div soup. It's a dorky term, but really what it means is I'm looking at their HTML and I see div and a div and a div and a div, and it like just divs all over the place. It's a really easy element to just kind of toss in there as a wrapper. But we don't want to use it too much because we want our code to mean something, right? So if we flip back over here, we want to, you know, I want to see a UL and know that there's a list of things. I want to see an H2 and know that there's a heading here. I want to see all of that stuff so that I know what I'm doing. I can find context in here. I can get meaning out of what I'm looking at, right? If I see something like this, div with a div inside of it and a div inside of that and a div inside of that, and on and on and on, this doesn't mean anything. They're just empty wrappers, right? So we don't want to do that. So let's go back over here. So let's actually look at the content over here. We've got block level element that we're going to get into in the CSS stuff. So just take a look at that. You don't need to know what that means right now. Other than, I mean, with a short explanation here is, you know, each new div is rendered on a new line. Okay. So if I have 3 divs in a row, they're all each going to be on their own line, kind of like these list items. They're not going to sit next to each other horizontally. It really stands for a division or a section of content. So I hopefully that makes sense. Div is short for division. It's just saying, hey, here's a little group of content. Which is the next bullet. We're going to use it to group elements, and then we can format that with CSS. We can style that, we can give it colors and shapes and whatever we want. And then we're going to apply IDs and classes. We're going to go into CSS here in the next video. You're gonna get rid of me for a little while, which I'm sure some of you are very relieved about. And you're gonna go over to my good friend Shelby, and she is going to kind of get into how we start styling things. But this is kind of a heads up on that. We're going to apply IDs and classes to divs and control their styles. So those are little tags that let us target specific ones on the page instead of applying it to the whole page. So here's a few examples. you can see we've got a div, and oops, look at that. There's some bad code there. Look at that. If you caught that before I did, good job. But we have a div, so that slash shouldn't be there, with a couple of paragraphs inside of it. Here's a div with a main heading in it. And we also gave this an attribute. Remember, this is called an attribute, an ID of header, so that we could have, we could have 6 divs that looked just like this without the attribute. So if we got rid of that, and if I targeted the ID header on this one, it would change just this one. Again, we'll get into that in CSS, but I just kind of wanted to expose you to that right now. So the div tag, we use it all over the place to group. It's really helpful to group things together. You can wrap groups of elements in a div to style them differently, that sort of thing. So let me show you a quick example here. So one thing that our code has kind of a problem with right now is that everything kind of sits right next to each other. We have an H1 right next to a P, right next to an image tag, UL. It's all right here. There's not sectioned up at all, right? So let's take a look and let's group some of this stuff and let's put it together. So let's say this stuff right here, let's say that's one group. That's kind of our heading. That's our intro section. Maybe we want to style that differently. Take this and we're going to go ahead and wrap it in a div, okay? So we're going to group that together. So I'm going to write my div. Glitch is going to finish it out for me, which in this case is maybe not quite as helpful because we want to take this and I'm going to cut it and come all the way down here and paste it. Now I have my content wrapped in a div, and I'll back this up and kind of get rid of some of the white space. Now you can see it still doesn't look super, organized. And that's because all of this stuff here is actually inside the div, but it looks like it's on the same level. So a good formatting would be to highlight all of this stuff here, and I'm going to push the tab button once, and that kind of sets it in. So now you can kind of see, hey, this is the outside. See how it's further out, and everything there is inside of that. Okay? So let's keep on rolling. And now we're already over to the coding part. Again, I told you this was kind of a quick one. So I want you to add some divs into some different sections. We're going to add a container div. I want you to try putting a couple divs inside of each other. We'll probably make one of them a sidebar and one of them the main content. All right, so try that out. A lot of what we've done up to this point, the code, we might end up throwing away some of that, and that happens all the time in development. That is fine. It's not a big deal. And as we kind of evolve and learn more, we figure out, oh, you know what, this needs to be organized this way, and it would be a whole lot better if I did this. And you change things as you go on. It's really good practice, and it works pretty well. So go ahead and try that out. I don't think I really have a bonus, like extra credit thing for this, but I want you to think about what you're saying on your site, what your site is about, and try to come up with some certain sections. So if I'm doing a site about, let's say, video games, because I had video games on there, I might have a section for each console that I owned, and I'm going to wrap that all maybe in a div. Okay, so think about what those sections are, sort of your groups, just like you would on a term paper or something like that, and try putting some stuff together there. Okay, all right, we'll see you here in a little bit. Enjoy going over to Shelby and learning how to style things.